what is up, friends? Your good Gypsy back here today with the semi-finals of NPL Season 6 up against Aberforth and his Brisbane Brelooms. So yeah, we faced off against Aberforth a few weeks ago. We actually faced them in week 11 of the regular season, and we brought a very offensive team and had a nice 1-0 win over Aberforth. Very, very fun one. Bit of a meme recording. Obviously, I was doing a kind of silly voice, and I didn't really want to give too much away about the team I brought that game, as there were certain sets I didn't reveal, and you know, that definitely factored into mons that I've brought this game. So, of course, we are bringing a bit of a different squad this time in this rematch against Aberforth, and he himself brought a bit of a different squad. Last time we played, he brought Tarantrum, so that was something that he hasn't brought this time, as you can see. He also opted to bring the Circuitry this game. So I believe last game he brought Tarantrum over the Slow King there, and he also brought the Domanitan over the Circuitry. So definitely a different team. I felt as though just looking at this matchup, he has less physical mons to pressure my Toxapex, which is always really nice. But of course he has Slow King, who can obviously, if he's a Carmine variant, you know, boost up on my Toxapex. He has Circuitry, which obviously scares me out. Potential Freeze Dry Ninetales, you know, Psychic Ninetales. Yeah, he has ways to check it, but I do notice that Toxapex's job is significantly easier in being a physically defensive check to stuff like Buzzwall and his Circuitry, even just a nice pivot. So going over the team that I've brought this week, we have mixed Life Orb Inferno. So this is actually like literally the same set that I brought last game. It's versus Abe. It's just so good versus his team. My set is EQ, Vacuum Wave, Flamethrower, and Gunk Shot for the Mega Altaria, in case he did bring it. Obviously I am kind of walled by a defensive Slow King, so that's not ideal, but this was the coverage that I needed in order to have the best chance against this team to kind of clean up late game. If he did, you know, bring Slowbro than Slow King, then that's fine. I have other ways of checking in on my team, and I didn't think Slow King was a mon that he would necessarily bring, but you can see he has brought it today, but that's fine. We have ways to check that. So then we have defensive Toxapex. As I mentioned, he doesn't really have an answer to Toxic Spikes on his team. He could potentially have Defog on Katana, but Donphan isn't really going to appreciate coming in and taking the poison damage if he does want to spin away the hazards. T-Spikes is just really solid versus his team, especially with what I've brought today. Then we have my offensive Life Orb Shaman, basically creeping his base 95 Domanitan on his team. The rest put into bulk, obviously max special attack, rocking Earth Power, Leaf Storm or Seed Flare, one of the two, I forget, Dazzling Gleam, and Healing Wish. So yeah, pretty solid versus his team, can really put in the work. He doesn't really have a switch into Shaman, which is really nice. Shaman just like pretty much gets a kill, especially if I get rocks up, every time it comes in, so that's really solid. Then we have Scuffed Gudra. Gudra is actually really solid in this matchup. Scuffed Gudra allows me to revenge stuff like +1 Tarantrum, as well as being able to outspeed a Life Orb Sugarberry variant of Domanitan. Also lets me take on, you know, a Swords Dancing Katana, a Scarfed Buzzwall I outspeed. I can check Circuitry amazingly well, even without, you know, having an Assault Vest or just any bulk really, because I'm just so fat. And yeah, it's just a really solid one. We have Scarfed Irontail if he does want to sort of bring in his Ninetales on me. If I can bring in Gudra in on Ninetales during the game, and he's out of range of Flamethrower, I can just click Irontail and Oko him like that, so that's pretty solid. But yeah, Flamethrower and Draco Meteor looking pretty solid versus his team. Then we have Uxie. It's my rocker this week. Rocking Rocks Reflect, actually. I did bring Screens. Screens really help ease the burden of Toxapex to check his physical mons. It allows stuff like my Gardevoir and my Shaman and Gudra to be better answers to his team. You know, they can actually switch into hits with the Reflect Up. It just really makes my team's job a lot easier in checking his bear offense, because if I can withstand his onslaught of offense, then my team has a really good shot at winning. So then we have my bulky fast Mega Guard, so I'm creeping max speed Circuitry, rocking Encore this week so I can check stuff like Carmine Bro, Carmine Sloking, and Tail Glow variants or Carmine variants of Circuitry, Wish Protect, just Hyper Voice, and Encore. So pretty fun team. I'm pretty happy with it. Guja's looking to put in the work at team matchup. But yeah, we'll jump into it. So he's definitely brought a threatening team. I felt as though leading with Donphan or Ninetales would be his play of choice, allowing him to get at Rocks or Oraval respectively, but he does choose to lead off with Donphan, as we can just go for the Reflect here in case he is like a banded offensive variant with knockoff. Reflect will really allow us to take that hit a lot better, but he's going to set up his Rocks this turn. I'm going to set up my own Rocks this turn as he does make the switch out into his Circuitry. Now he's going to go for the substitute here as I choose to go for the light screen. This is nice because had he tailglowed up that turn or gone for the Carmine, I would have got the light screen up, which meant that I could have switched out to my Gardevoir the next turn, sponged any hit, especially with the light screen up, and started firing off Hyper Voices. I could have also gone out to my Gudra, who would have been a really nice switch in with the light screen up. Had he tailglowed that turn, I could have been able to stomach anything, but he does just go for the substitute here. So this turn I am going to make the switch out into my Gardevoir, as this could more than likely be a setup variant, like a sub Tailglow or a sub, he could be like sub Life Orb even, but with the light screen up and my guard's natural Spit F and HP investment, I can easily tank it. So he is going to go for the Signal Beam this turn, as it's not going to do too much to guard. It does nice 15. That's a very strong Circuitry, but guard's bulk plus the light screen just isn't enough. Is too much, sorry, for the Circuitry to really deal any damage to us, but his Circuitry is going to go down there, as you do see the speed creep coming in clutch there, as he was a very fast Circuitry. I'm going to fire off another Hyper Voice off on this Slowking just to kind of gauge his set, as I'm not invested, but this Hyper Voice still does 45%, so this reveals that he's more than likely defensive, physically defensive. This is kind of confirmed by the fact that he reveals Carmine here, so he's obviously max HP, more than likely bold defensive. He does reveal the Carmine this turn, as I am going to go for the Encore. This locks him into Encore and kind of forces him into a switch situation where he either sacks off his Slowking or he switches out. So I'm going to proceed to start Hyper Voicing. I felt as though he could make the switch. I could have gone for Wish here, kind of prolonged it a bit, but that could have really kind of backfired on me had he made some sort of crazy switch to Gartana, predicting the Wish or thinking he can tank a Hyper Voice. It just wasn't really in my interest not to spam Hyper Voice. I could have gone for the Wish and continued to Encore if he had like broken out of his Encore lock, but realistically Hyper Voice is the play. So it covers him making a ballsy switch out to one of his offensive mons like Adamant, Scarf, Poison Jab, Buzzwole, or Steel Move, Katana. I am out of range of a Leaf Blade, but if he's Smart Strike, then I will go down here. So I'm going to make the switch out into my Gudra. This covered him SDing. It also covered him going for a Smart Strike, because I did live from that range. Obviously, I resist a Leaf Blade if he did go for it. I'm also gooey, so I'm gooey Gudra, not Sticky Jolt, so I am gooey. And this would have meant that had he been a Scarfed variant of Katana, he would have not been able to 2KO me with Smart Strike had I stayed in with Gudra, because I would have obviously outsped. He would have had his speed dropped, and I would have been a Scarf Gudra, so I could have potentially caught him in that situation had he decided to stay in and try and 2KO my Gudra. But he does go for the Swords Dance this turn. This was also another play I considered he would make. I thought this was more likely than going for the attack here, because I could just as easily switch out into my Infernape. He could be a Chopple Berry variant of Katana, and he might have returned to hit my Infernape at +2 to OHKO me, living the Vacuum Wave. He also could be a Z-move variant of Katana, which I thought was more likely, and predicting my switch out to Toxapex would have meant that a +2 like Z Leaf Blade could have taken out my Toxapex. +2 also ensures that he could take out my offensive Shaman. So I felt like Swords Dance was more likely to be his play here, as we do catch him there, so we will be able to get the outspeed the following turn and take him out the Flamethrower. So this is really nice. It's one of the biggest threats down, and I understand that play by Abe. He was kind of in a spot where he had to play really offensively. We definitely had control of the beginning of the match. We were kind of dominating each turn. I mean that in the sense that we were controlling the flow of the battle. Like, Abe needed to make a play like that to kind of put himself back in the driver's seat, he could potentially get, make that ballsy SD on my switch out to a defensive pivot, resulting in me losing him on. So I can definitely get behind the play he made, but yeah, Gudra was a safe play there in both scenarios on my part. So he's going to bring in his Ninetales here, and I know that I can shoot any hit from this Ninetales, as we will be able to 2-hit KO with the Flamethrower. Goes to the Freeze Dry, and it does a decent chunk. With the hail damage, I will be put in range of Stealth Rocks after this turn, so that's pretty nice though, because that's Ninetales down, that's Aurivale not up, which means that yeah, my Gardevoir wins at this point, my Shaman wins, even if he's like a Scarfed Buzzwole, I can live a Leech Life, so I'm going to go for the Flamethrower and do a shit ton, way too much damage to this Donphan. This reveals that he's definitely a cussed up variant, because he's lacking all kinds of natural bulk. Donphan isn't like amazingly SPDF, but it shouldn't take that much from a Flamethrower. Like, he took 64 from an unboosted, neutral special attack natured Gudra's Flamethrower. So that's, yeah, way too much damage. Clearly cussed up. It's also a really good set versus my team, as it does allow him to get a kill turn 1, or at least get a cussed up rapid spin-off. So I felt as though he was more than likely cussed up. Here I don't lose anything by going to Infernape. I could have gone out into... this was interesting. I could have gone out into Uxie here and gone for a Reflect on the Cuss Stab and then knocked out the next turn with Psychic, but I wanted to keep my Uxie around just in case he was Scarf Buzzwole and locked himself to Earthquake. Just having my immunity around would be key. Having my immunity to Earthquake around just in case he gets crits and Beast Boost attack raises. So I'm going to go into my Infernape here and click Vacuum Wave. He's going to make the switch out to his Buzzwole. Smart play, preserving his Donphan. This is important though, the hail is still up, so we will be able to get some valuable information off on this Buzzwole. He is Scarfed, as he does take the hail chip first, which means that I can switch out to my Toxapex just to scout what move he wanted to lock himself into. Even if he goes for Earthquake here, which is a pretty obvious play, I will only take around half from it. I can pivot out to my ground immunity the next turn. If you wanted to go for Leech Life, which would have been like a very aggressive play, but at the same time it also could have made sense, but because I do have Shaman in the back who resists the obvious incoming Earthquake. But either way, Toxapex was the play. I'm not really too bothered by taking an EQ, as it only does 49, as you see there. So we'll be able to make the switch out to my Uxie here, as he does stay in and go for the EQ. And now we're just going to be able to click Psychic and get a kill, essentially. This prevents his Donphan from going from a Cuss Stab, like knockoff, putting me in range of the Bug Buzz. As you're going to see, we are going to live the Leech Life and fire off a strong Psychic. Uxie's not invested, but Psychic still has a decent chunk to this Buzzwole, and this will put him in guaranteed range to die to anything from Infernape, barring a Vacuum Wave. Even a crit Leech Life won't kill me from this range. It is quad resisted, and Infernape is going to be able to take out the Buzzwole. So that is my semi-finals match up against Aberforth. Very fun game. GG to my man Aberforth. Congrats on the dominant season. Aberforth went, I think he had the best differential in the entire league, if I'm not mistaken. He, played amazingly, and definitely deserved to be here in the semi-finals. So congrats to Aberforth. Go check out his side of the match. I'll be leaving his link in the description, obviously, for you guys to go and check out. And let me know what you guys think in the comments, what you thought of the match, if you did enjoy it. Always appreciate likes on the video. And it should be exciting. We don't know who we're going to play yet for the finals. It's going to either be Anthony or Togue, but their match hasn't been played yet, so that could be postponed. Finals might be a little bit away, but it'll be hype regardless. So if you guys enjoyed, that's all for today, and I'll catch you guys next time.